Welcome to the show again. Kirsten Kloss here with netcastevent.com. And for those of you who are not familiar with our program, what we do is we interview business authors and business leaders, for that fact, about their disciplines. And today we've asked Starr Hill. She's an author of the excuse me. I'll just start this over again. Sorry about that.
Hall.
My goodness. I'm trying.
He's using a teleprompter for the first time
I never use a
today,
teleprompter, and I put one in, and you know what? It's throwing me right off, and I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with this. How you doing? Kirsten Kloss here with Netcast Event. I'm here in studio with Chris Hamilton, and I just want to give you an idea of what we do here at Netcast Event first before we get into our interview. We interview business leaders and authors. We've been approached by McGraw-Hill to interview their authors, and today we have Starr Hall. Now, Starr Hall is coming to us live via the miracle of Skype. Thanks a lot for joining us here today, Starr.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for bringing me in.
Starr is the author of Social Wave, and she's also a regular columnist with Entrepreneur.com, and matter of fact, she's creating her own web show. That's exciting, and we can obviously share notes on the idea of a web show, Starr.
Yes, we can.
And today we're going to be talking about business strategies with social media. And more notably, we'll be addressing questions like, is your business wiping out at social media? And how do you avoid and correct the damage? But in order to help me with this interview, Chris Hamilton is available in studio once again. Thanks for being with us here again, Chris.
Always glad to be here, Kirsten.
And what we're going to do is I'll let Chris kind of further the interview here with Starr, and I'll join in and run the interview at the same time. So, Chris, why don't you take it from here?
You betcha. Appreciate it. And Starr, thank you very much for coming on the show today and being available for us. I am holding your book up right now so that people can see it. Do they see it? I can't tell.
Yep. Yeah, we got a good view.
And get people to come in. As we were discussing beforehand, Starr, part of the stuff we could go into the book. I mean, it's a wonderful book. It's a great guideline for how people or businesses can use social media and the different aspects of social media. But as we had suggested, is probably just keep it open because I really love social media, online marketing. So does Kirsten. And we thought we'd try to keep the conversations kind of open and free flowing. And from there, I guess first things first, I'm going to ask you, why did you write the book, though?
Well, actually, it started back in, I think it was about 2007 with my first book, Get Connected, the Social Networking Toolkit for Business. I was so frustrated with the just moving online. I was in PR, and I noticed that PR and messaging was moving online, knew I needed to be on board, but I went online and I wasn't getting things in English, I guess is the way to put it. I just couldn't understand and sift through all of the messaging at the time. And I mean, this was, 5 or 6 years ago. So I decided to write a book with the basics for businesses because they just were not understanding it. So that was my very first book. And then from all of the feedback I got from that, the readers, the fans, the email list that I built, the feedback I was starting to get is, okay, we get the basics now. What do we do with it? How do we grow our business? We don't have time to just, talk online or post. And then I decided I call it my social media on steroids book. I decided to put actual strategies on what they need to be doing online. I mean, businesses know they need to be online. That's a given. But what do you do once you get online? So that's what this book is all about.
Excellent. It's and as I say, it's a great book. I loved going through it. Lots of great information that you can pull out of this. And just so that I can let everyone know, if they want to find you online, they can go to starrhall.com, and you've got a whole bunch of information on here. Obviously, I'm taking a look at it right now. Lots of great blog posts, and also looks like lots of freebies here to take in and further yourself online. So, with that said, that's a bit of a plug on the book and also on the website. Now, I want to get into just kind of talking about some of the social media tactics. Obviously, as with anyone, when I started jumping online and started blogging literally over a couple of years ago, I found it utterly confusing. I didn't know how to get my message out. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And I've slowly and surely built a process and a system. But obviously you've gone through that same sort of endeavor, I guess would be the best way to put it. What kind of social media tactics do you find work well for you? What are some of the things that people that are viewing the show can glean from your experience?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's a constant in trying to figure out, the new online and the site updates and, what is the latest and greatest in blogging and how you're going to get on the search engines. And I mean, it's just a constant. It's never going to go to sleep. You can't stop learning. It's one of those things, whether you're in internet marketing as a marketer or you have a business that you're growing online, you need to stay informed. But for me, I kind of trick people. And it's interesting over the years that I've been called the social media expert, whatever. I'm grateful, but that's not really what my specialty is. And I actually specialize in PR and how to get massive exposure and publicity online, and how to use the tools such as the Facebooks. And, now we have Pinterest that we're dealing with and 1,000 other sites that just came up in the last 60 seconds. But but I teach businesses how to get publicity and exposure, because really building credibility is the first thing you need to do online, because you don't have that in person. And, the ways of traditional marketing and connection have so changed. So you need to focus on building credibility. And that's what is vital with social media. And so many businesses don't get that. They get online and they do what I call sales bitch. It just completely turns people off.
We had a guy on a few weeks ago, and he says it's like akin to going to a cocktail party and then just walking up to someone and say, "Hey, you want to buy?" And
exactly
doesn't come across very well. Absolutely.
One of the things you just mentioned was some of the newer stuff that's come out, and how would you recommend that people stay abreast of some of the new stuff? I'm looking at your site right now, and of course, obviously, you got Fiverr on there, and some of these companies are a little bit older, but you got Pinterest, which is this new darling, obviously, that's catching on out there as well. How would you suggest that people stay ahead of looking for that sort of stuff? Any tips or suggestions there?
Well, yeah, it depends on how much they want to sleep.
Yeah.
So, well, for me, and by the way, Pinterest, I love Pinterest, and there's a Pinterest site for men, which is Gentleman. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Gentleman.
What is it? What is it called?
What's the site?
It's Gentleman.
Gentleman.
It's a Pinterest for men.
Interesting.
Which I think is really cool. It's up and coming. They're not getting as much traction as Pinterest, but if they do it right, I think they'll do very well. But I stay up to date. I just subscribe to some of the top news sites such as Mashable. I mean, everyone for the most part knows Mashable. TechCrunch, Entrepreneur. I write for Entrepreneur, but I still stay informed with Entrepreneur. I just subscribe to those channels. Every morning when I wake up, I do this. I have the tea, and I take 30 minutes and run through everything from those feeds, and that's it. I'm done. And it's like reading a book. It's like reading a book a morning. And that's how I stay informed. But you need to figure out what works best for you. Sometimes all that reading overwhelms people. Well, fine. Then maybe hire someone or have an intern pull all the information off those sites and give it to you in a one-page brief, things you need to know. But that's the way I do it.
That's a great idea, actually, just to pull out the new stuff. It's funny because I found out about Pinterest by actually I was on SlideShare one day. I just poking through and I saw something on Pinterest. I started clicking. I go, this is really interesting. And my wife owns she runs a high-end consignment store for luxury goods online. I said, this is absolutely right up your alleyway on this Pinterest thing, obviously. So it's interesting to stay ahead of that stuff. So good tip. Thank you very much on that one, Starr. One of the things that you also go into in the book is creating a social media marketing system, which obviously that wraps around very much around that PR. And I'm very similar to you, as I just try to get exposure for companies more on a local basis where I am in Calgary here. But creating a social marketing system. Any tips and tricks that people can use, apart from buying the book, obviously, which I'm holding up one more time here so that people can see, that people could leverage and use to start creating a social media marketing system?
Well, one of the things with creating a system online that I've seen a lot of businesses just completely miss the point. First of all, you need to figure out where you need to be online and build your marketing around that. A lot of companies are on sites that their target audience is not even on or talking about. And the way that I do that is I just jump on a site really quick and I use the advanced search functions. And when I say that, every social site has a search box. But for the most part, a lot of them, such as the top ones, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and even Google Plus have advanced options for you to go in and, let me give you an example, search.twitter.com. When you go to that page, there's a little teeny link that says advanced search. You click on the advanced search box and you start typing in words that your target market or prospects would be using to find you. So for example, if you're a dentist, you might type in words such as, ouch, my tooth hurts, or, or need a root canal, or a lot of conversation like, I hate my dentist, or my dentist sucks. That's the type of things you would be typing into these sites to see if people are typing about and using words that they would be basically putting out there to find your products or services. If there's not a lot of conversation like that going on, it might not be the right site for you.
Interesting. Actually, it's interesting you say that. A while back, I had a guy approach me out of Houston, and I try to do face-to-face with people. That's why I like just sticking in my own backyard. Plus the fact that I have 3 young kids, so I don't want to be traveling all over,
Sure.
all over the place. But literally, I threw something out, and it was a guy in Houston who really he was an older guy, needed face-to-face contact. And I just said, anyone out there that can help with a guy with helping him with his website. And like, boom, the floodgates opened, right? And but the best one was the girl who actually kind of engaged me in the conversation was the one that was, instead of trying to sell, she was trying to figure out what the guy needed, right? So guess where the business went over to that person right there. So, and I am a big fan of even searching online for like Google alerts and stuff, right? Where you utilize certain terms on Google alerts to push through as well, which I'm sure you probably use as well.
Oh yeah, I not only monitor myself and my target market, but I monitor my competition.
Oh, do you?
With Google alerts.
Excellent. It's a good way to get more competitive intelligence, I guess, on what's going on out there.
My goodness, you have competition?
Right when I said that, it's actually not the word. My peers, I guess I want to, for me,
your
and what I
frenemies.
do, it's like there's plenty of business for everyone. That's the way my take is on it.
Yeah.
And certain businesses will be attracted to certain, marketing, whatever, consultants.
I know. I know your reference. Your reference is essentially the competition, as in anybody else who's kind of doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see what they're doing. I want to make sure I'm not copying them. I want to lead. I don't want to be a follower. So that's pretty much why I monitor on Google Alerts. The competition.
That's one of the things where, I was going through the book. I was making some notes on certain things. So I obviously said, I didn't want to necessarily go into the book, but you know what? There's so many great topics. I think I have to just touch on a lot of this stuff. And one of the ones that is near and dear to my heart is obviously blogging. And I started blogging, at least in the current capacity I'm in, about just over 2 years ago, and have learned so much of what not to do and what to do to get people to come to the website, obviously. And we can share notes back and forth here. But in order for, my take is, I think people go out and they start blogging. If you're a business, they start blogging potentially for the wrong reasons, because they think that people are blogging so that they need to just get that exposure. And you've probably seen it numerous times where you get 5-6 posts over like a week, and then you get 2 the next week, and then it goes to 1, and then like 6 months later they get a post up, and then it just dies, right? And
you get a 16-page post.
Yeah.
No time for that. Yeah.
Exactly. What suggestions do you have for, one, how to structure what you're trying to do on a post and what you're trying to accomplish, and 2, how do you kind of get exposure against that? What's any tips and tricks there that you think?
Sure. Well, first of all, I don't really think of myself necessarily, this might sound odd, but as a blogger. I'm not consistent as to when I post. I just put things out there on my site, which my site is WordPress based, and the blog stream runs down the main page as far as my posts. But I kind of just put things out there as I feel that my audience needs to, know about those things. But the way I get traffic back to my site all ties back to PR. I knew 5-6 years ago when I started getting into this that I would need exposure. So I started building relationships and partnerships with, Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine, MSNBC, AOL. I started reaching out to them, and guess where I started reaching out to them on? You want to take a guess?
Let's see. 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Telephone.
LinkedIn.
Oh yes. That is powerful, no doubt.
It's such a powerful tool, and honestly, that's where I get, I want to say like 90% of my business and my connections is through LinkedIn. The Twitters, the Facebooks, it's just keeping in touch with my building audience. But LinkedIn is golden. And so I started building those relationships and, hey, can I write for you? Or I think your readers might be interested in this, or for TV, your viewers might want to know about this. So I instantly started putting myself out there to become a columnist or a regular guest. I got so busy that with the print side of it, that I kind of let the radio TV side, which I really should have balanced the focus, and I'm getting back into that. But that's the way I did it, is just putting myself out there as a columnist and writing for other people. And I mean, just off my entrepreneur column monthly, I can get anywhere from, 5 to 20,000 visits on one post. It just depends on what the topic is.
Wow.
That's quite intriguing. So reaching out on LinkedIn. So obviously you just, I would imagine what you do is you say, okay, here's my audience, or here's the people I want to approach. Here's the media that would be specific to them. And then all of a sudden, like with anything, you just got to build a relationship. It takes time. It's not go in for the cold kill right off the bat, but take some time to I guess, like I say, build that relationship. Is that kind of how you went about doing that, or?
Yeah, and you know what I did? I created scripts that people can use. They can make it their own, but just wording that I've used over the years to reach out to the media. For example, what's called source filing yourself with the media. I have a couple different scripts that you can use, and what that means is you just reach out to them and say, hey, I read your magazine, I saw your segment, or whatever it might be. I feel like your readers, your listeners, your audience would be interested in this topic. I would love to be source filed, meaning please call on me or let me be your go-to source in this industry or this topic area. So I've created a ton of scripts over the years that have been really powerful and leaves out the sales bitch and more of a this, this is what I can do for you, and I love your, giving them kudos for their writing or their segment producing and talking about them, because it's not all about you and what you can do for their readers. It's, kind of, I call it petting them,
Yeah.
So it's definitely, you don't want to go right out of the gates and say, hey, I want to write for you and this is why. Forget it. They're not even going to respond. But, I liked your article on, whatever it was, and this is why I liked it. And I feel like I can contribute to that topic area. Would love for you to call on me if you need me.
That's an awesome tip. I never thought about that. What do you ever use Haro by any chance?
Oh, I love Haro, which just sold to Vocus.
Oh, did it? You know what? I haven't followed Haro in a bit here, but
yeah, Peter sold to Vocus. I just found this out 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know if it was 6 months ago that it happened, but I was just on the site and I saw a couple of his posts, and he sold to Vocus.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, right? Obviously, the guy just did this kind of out of the blue and connecting people, and then all of a sudden it turns into a massive site.
Haro is flippin' amazing. I mean, I got on in the New York Times a couple months ago because of Haro, Inc. magazine, a lot of A-list media. The one thing I do with Haro that when I'm talking to people, I find that they don't do is I scan it for A-list media only. I don't respond to the stuff in between, just because I don't have time personally. I mean, if you're starting up business, I say respond to whatever opportunities there are, but I only respond to A-list on Haro, and it's paid off for sure.
That's I enjoy this.
Is that
actually
snobby of me?
Pardon me? No. You know
I
what?
only respond to A.
No, but you know what? It is. You got to go where using your reference on your book, which I'm holding up here again. Go where the fish are, I guess. Where the big fish
being
are.
efficient. I mean, you really have to be. You have to focus on what mutual relationships in that medium are best for you, right? You can't be everything to everyone. Obviously, I'm curious. What's your take on the whole Google Plus movement now?
I'm so glad you asked that. I was in the initial beta about 2 years ago on Google Plus. I hated it. I was like, what are they doing? Google, please don't put this out there. You're going to embarrass yourself. And then
so they put Buzz out instead, right?
And then it came out. I really jumped on about 6 months ago, and I thought, okay, I could like this. I like the circles. I like the huddle and all that. But I'm finding that I'm not really using it. I like it, but they haven't been able to get me to shift over like I use Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, and I don't know why that is. I can't even give you a solid answer. I'm not consistent going on there.
Yeah. And it comes down to, fragmenting your time, right? You can't exactly, I mean, it's one thing to just multi-post, but it's another thing to actually be listening and engaging the people that are in that realm and having a two-way dialogue. That's the time-consuming part. Yeah, absolutely. So interesting. So any predictions on that one?
You know, I think that, Facebook they have addicts, and it's what you got to pull the addicts over. To me, it's basically like a Facebook with some better visual tools.
Yeah.
But they've captured their audience, and they have people in habit, and Google doesn't have that. So I can't even tell you which way it's going to go. I wish I could. I mean, nobody can, but I can't even predict it because.
Yeah. That's fair. That was a loaded question. But what about all the spam that's happening in LinkedIn now? Are you finding that that's becoming a bit of a distraction to you?
When you mean like the people that you're connected to spamming, like sales bitching, or just out of the blue spamming? Because I haven't gotten.
Also adding you out of the blue and building a network, and then extracting your email, contacting you, trying to kind of cut into your world. Oh
yeah, I'm a very professional businesswoman, but when people do that to me, when they pull my email off of LinkedIn, and that's happened, a handful of times this year, I'll let them know. It's not cool. It's just not cool. To me, it's like, you know what, build a relationship with me and then ask if I'd like to be on your email list. But it is so not appropriate. You don't
like getting all those spam messages? I get them. I get a new one every day.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they really took the time to get to know me, do you really think I need an email on, the sports industry and how to be a better athlete? I can't even get to the gym. So if that's what irritates me. If they really looked at me and who I am. I mean, I had someone send me an email on, they wanted to be my social media marketing consultant. I'm like, really? Did you look? And I sent them an email like, really? Did you look at my profile? That's what irritates me. If you get to know me and you think I really need it, okay, maybe I'm not going to get so agitated. But
I think the worst one was I get all these Arabic ones and I don't know how to unsubscribe from anything.
I've only gotten a few of those, but yeah.
Yeah, I get a bunch from Korea, Saudi Arabia areas and stuff like that, and also places where I just can't understand the language, so I can't unsubscribe to them, which is even the worst part. Which actually leads into, let's talk about trolls, right? So until you've actually been the victim of a troll, you probably just think, oh well, whatever. But I had a troll come out of the woodwork a while back and literally start taking just swings at me. And, at first I fired back a couple of things, but then I realized you just ignore them and they go away, right?
Well, it's their vehicle to stand out, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea, is that if they engage in controversy, then perhaps somebody will notice them. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's that kid in the playground that all they did was disrupt everyone to try to get noticed.
Well, what bothered me was this guy challenged me. And he's got maybe 25 people following him on LinkedIn. He's got 12 people on Facebook. He's got whatever. And, I got a ton of people that follow me on Twitter. I got a ton of people. I got a bunch of people on LinkedIn. And the worst thing was I contributed to Jeffrey Gitomer's book, Social Boom. And he started swinging at me there and dragging Jeffrey Gitomer into it. And I'm like going, what are you doing, buddy?
So, Starr, how do you handle that?
Well, first of all, I say that trolls, there's a planet for them, nasty planet, number one. And trolls are unfortunate people that just didn't get enough attention from mommy and daddy. I've had it happen in my career, and it unfortunately will continue to happen. As a matter of fact, I just had to have my lawyer send a cease and desist to someone that was really harassing me in every social site, on my email, on my voicemail. I mean, I didn't even know the person, and they had nothing better to do with their day than send me nasty messages. But
hey, Starr, I got that letter. I'm joking.
Good. So we're good then. But a couple different things. First of all, when it comes to trolls, the first thing I try to do is I try to immediately get them off the stream, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, by saying, hey, you have a problem with me, let's talk on the phone. And I'll call them out. I'll do that if I have to. And because you probably already know this, but for listeners, one thing you don't want to do is keep responding on the streams, because the more you respond, the higher up it's going to go in the search engines. Mm-hmm. So you just immediately you don't want to respond. It's what's called an ask approach, which is acknowledge the pain, respond politely, and make it right. I just changed it. And sometimes with trolls, you can't do that. But if you respond politely the first time and people see that you've responded politely, you're trying to, you know, make it right or whatever, and they just keep getting nasty with you, then you're done. Like, just let it go. Another thing is all goes back to building your credibility. Every single time that someone's tried to attack me on my Facebook fan page or my Twitter stream, I have such a loyal following, and my following is not huge. It's not like Gary Vaynerchuk's or, you know, some of the other people out there, but my following, I know 99% of them, they are so loyal. When they see someone attacking me, it's like they're wolves. They just go after them. They're like, back off of Starr, we're her bodyguards.
That's the ultimate scenario, actually,
Yeah.
In something like that, because then you have your fan club in your supporters behind you, and that adds so much credibility to any response or any attack. It just totally diminishes it. You're so right.
Yeah, what I do actually is I just I respond to him. I say, hey, by the way, Kirsten's actually putting you down, so go bug him. And they go after him. No, I'm joking, obviously. So it's it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing, but you know what? Hopefully, at some point in time, you know what the thing is too with trolls. What I find though is it's obviously they're coming after you because you're, for lack of a better word, important or deemed important, and the notoriety, right? So I mean, take the bad with the good and realize that, you know what, hey, you're making a dent in the world, and they're probably coming after you for a reason because of that, right? So the other thing too is because you are creating a video channel or a video program, and as we discussed just prior to, Kirsten and I are big fans of video. I love video. In fact, just a quick story here. How I got into video was when I started blogging, I was writing a bunch of posts, and I write 7 days a week, and I came to the weekend, and I go, how am I going to put something together? And I pulled out a camera, videotaped myself, and slapped it up, and I go, holy smokes, that took about like 1/8 the time that I would to write. This is great. Haven't done a blog post since without video in it, pretty much. So it's like 99% of the time is all video or else podcasts and stuff like that. What's your take on video? Where is it going? How to use it? Sort of things. What do you do?
You know, first of all, you've nailed it. And I'm a little behind on it. Last year, I was when I was on my tour with Sprint and Entrepreneur, I was all about video. I'm talking about, you know, getting my web show out. I've had some things come up that has pushed it back, but I really wanted to move into like a video blog, and I want it all to be about video. And I think video covers something that we need as businesses to connect with our audience, and that is, it covers the auditory, the visual, and the kinesthetic, meaning they can see you, they can hear you, and for the most part, as you know, much as they can, kind of feel you and your emotions and what you're trying to say. And that's why video is so important. Now, where I think that video is stuck is there's just so many options out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding as far as the equipment that you need, how to, you know, operate it, and the audio. And if we can come up with a system and kind of clarify that for business owners, video is just pretty soon we're gonna have our own holograms, by the way. But I think that video is the way to go, and I'm definitely jumping on the train. I'm a little behind, but I'll get on the train and I'll be on the speed train.
Well,
I love video.
I'm gonna subscribe to your sci-fi gig on the holodeck or the hologram, because I think that's got a cool factor I like.
That's got a cool factor.
But I'm a geek,
plus I saw it in Star Wars, so it's got to come. It's got to happen, right? So
it's so cool. Someone's working on it right now.
Absolutely, Google's working on it. The couple of things though, I'm going to just interject here because it very much along the same vein. So one of the things that we find that people miss when it comes to video. So for example, this interview we're doing with you today, McGraw-Hill is kind enough to actually transcribe all this, because the fact is Google or any of these search engines really do not know what video is all about and what you're trying to convey across. So what we do is we take the video, they pay for it, they get it transcribed, and we put the show notes up behind this so that people will find us searched online. So there's number one, is that they got to find you, but they're not going to find you necessarily on video unless you've got some way for them to search or find you through the search engines. Or some supporting
text of some sort.
Or some supporting text, exactly. Now here's the other thing that's killer, and I'm a stats guy at heart. I'm almost Rain Man-ish about this. So whether you know it or not, 70% of all online consumption is through video right now. Did you know that?
Actually, I did know that. I was just going to jump in and talk about how search engines are. I have a report from, I tried looking at my email. I want to say it was even from Mashable, that a survey they posted, that video is one of the best ways to get up in the search engines if tagged appropriately, and it depends on the way you do it.
Yep.
But I totally agree.
Yeah, well, we also say, this the old rule. I don't know. I can't remember what report this is from, but video, a strong, compelling audiovisual story is remembered 8 times more than written information, and 4 times more than just vocal. And so we use that a lot to our process and stuff like that. And one last thing, I'm just putting extra stuff in here because I'd like to fill the show with content and stuff. But to your point about how video can get up in the rankings, it's great. Take a term. We always tell this for people to do. Take a term, go to YouTube, go to Google, and go to like keyword search, keyword tool on Google. Put it into YouTube with brackets around it and see how many videos pop up, right? And use like what are capital markets, for example. You'll get like 4 or 5 videos that are on there. You go on to YouTube and you may find 2 million, 3 million kind of articles wrapped around it. But what we do is also you go into the keyword tool and see how many times it's searched, right? And if it's searched 1 million times, 2 million times a month, and you've got 3 or 4 videos sitting on YouTube, the chances are, the best thing is you may not end up on the first page of Google on everything, but if you click on that little video button down the left-hand side, chances are you're going to show up very high on just the videos that go out there. And that's, I think, going to get more and more people are going to be jumping in on the video side on that stuff. So,
well, I agree. So I'm wondering when you are both going to come out with a book on it.
Actually, you know what? It's interesting you should say that. We toy around with it all the time, but you know what? So the two of us are seriously ADD, so just trying to get our attention to get on writing a book.
Welcome to the club.
Exactly. It's like we'd have to hire someone to follow us around as we give snippets all the time.
I'm
right?
going to say that Chris has self-diagnosed himself and me, so I might resemble the comment, but I'm going to deny it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to revert back to I have 3 small kids, and just trying to even do anything is tough sometimes. So it's.
Hey, I hear you. I've raised 3 small kids that are grown, and I call ADD always doing the different. I always need to be doing the different, and that's like I have shiny object syndrome.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you almost need a bit of that in order to keep up with this early stage of online interaction. It'll become more mainstream. It'll become more comfortable for most as everyone becomes familiar with the culture and the day-to-day requirements. But I think in the early stages, everyone who gets involved in this has a little bit of that shiny object syndrome just to keep up.
Yeah, you have to. I agree.
Starr, there's one thing that you wrote in the book too about creating compelling content. I'm going to take it from a slant more on the PR side because that is your background. So I find the PR fascinating, right? It's not really a realm that I've ever jumped into. But when you're working with a client, how do you get them to position creating compelling content that's going to get found and get them noticed and get literally what it comes down to the end of the day is they need leads coming in that generate revenue or sales for them. Is that kind of a world that you play into? Is that how you help companies? Is that sort of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So really quick on the content, I have a quick formula that I'm going to share with the audience, and I call it the dynamite of content, the TNT. And there's 3 different ways that I train people on how to create content. Number 1, top tips. So sharing with your prospects or your audience, basically top 5 reasons why, top 3 things you need to know. Tips help improve people's lives, save them time or money, make their lives or business easier. So that is truly valuable content to put out there, number 1. Number 2, you're also doing the media's job for them. So if you're creating top tips on your topic or your industry, and there's a whole formula I have to reach out to the media online with your blogs and your top tips. And I won't go into that right now because we don't have enough time, but you take these top tips, the media picks them up if positioned correctly because you've done the work for them. You create a 750-word top tips blog post. They come across it. Boom, it's for their industry. They just reprint it. It's easy media pickup. So the top tips is the first part. The second part is N, which is I call narrating. So narrate or show the before and after. So for example, you might want to show something that happens before someone uses your product or service, kind of like a case history. Keeping it short. You don't want like a 16-page white paper. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, a 3-paragraph, Susie Small was doing XYZ before she found, business building heaven with me. After two weeks in 2 hours per day. This is the results. This is what happened. These are the top 3 things that she did to make it happen. Right? Media loves stuff like that. They love actually showing the proof of how things worked. And then the last is tied or trending. So tie your topic into current events or current news or something that is trending or you feel is going to trend. All 3 of those, you can get massive media pickup.
Interesting. That's awesome.
That is a phenomenal summary.
Interview done. I got to go start blogging on this stuff now.
I was trying to find the references on your website while you're going through that.
So on my website, it's under my products. It's called my all-in-one marketing system.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Gotcha.
While we continue here.
I'm going to bring something up. It's someone from outside, Copy Blogger. I'm sure you've read Copy Blogger or gone to Copy Blogger, right? So John Morrow came out with 52 headline hacks. I don't know if you've read that or not.
No.
Oh, it's awesome. It's totally. We can delete this scene out so that no one sees it because we want to talk about Starr. But but that's the nice thing about being on the internet. We can cut stuff out here. But he wrote this great. It's a cheat sheet for writing blog posts that go viral. And he's got. I would highly recommend anyone just even take a look at it. He's got these 52 headlines that it's all about how to catch the attention, which is very close to your first T that you're sitting in there, which is like, how safe is your, and it says object from threat. 7 signs that blank. He goes through 5 little known factors that could affect your blank or whatever. He goes through all the psychology of trying to get people wrapped into to looking at this stuff. So just a resource and a tool. So
I just wrote it down.
Did you? It's a great read.
I love it.
I found it great. So highly recommend it to anybody. So
on to Starr, Chris.
Sorry, Starr.
Focus.
Back.
That was great.
Back to Starr.
Like
Hold on, I'm going to get the flashlight and shine it on Starr here. So
Squirrel.
that is awesome. Rating the compelling content side of things. That's an excellent tip. I greatly appreciate that. Hey, one of the things that I did see in the book that I just loved was your grid on the different social media channels, which is on page 192 of the book, where you go through and you talk about the big guys. But I'm also assuming that at the time when this was written, it was. You don't have Google Plus in there, but also probably at the time when you wrote this, it was not as big a factor as what it should be. But as I said to you earlier, I'm so excited you have StumbleUpon in there because it was a good Calgary-based started company. So we're always in support of anything that comes out of Canada.
And I love StumbleUpon. I need to get back into using it more. I mainly subscribe to the topics where I'll get the email and I can go through and share things with my market, but I absolutely love StumbleUpon. I need to get more addicted to it again.
The one thing I'm going to hold it up. It's going to be black, but basically I'm holding up the page. So it's a great overview of kind of everything, the pros and cons, the SEO side, list building, all the different things.
Chris, so
sorry, I will hold it up one more time just so people can see it.
Yeah.
The one thing I like about it, and I think I know where your favorite is. It looks like it's LinkedIn potentially. And then potentially Facebook, and then maybe YouTube, Twitter, somewhere in that range or something. But so we've got 5 here, let's say 6 with Google+. If you only had one social media outlet or channel or anything to work with, what would it be? Once again,
LinkedIn.
Biased question. Exactly. I knew what the answer was going to be. But.
LinkedIn.
Absolutely, LinkedIn. If people they don't even understand. When I talk to them, they set up an account like a year ago on LinkedIn, and I'm like screaming at them, "What are you doing?" It is not only a gold mine to connect with movers and shakers, high-level networkers, people that can make stuff happen, but also the media is all over LinkedIn. They're in the question and answer section looking for experts. You can go into the search function in the upper right corner and just type in editor, Los Angeles Times, and get 50 editors to choose from. And most of which are open networkers. It's such a gold mine.
Really? Yeah. That's a good tip. I got all these tips I'm writing down here. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is,
I'm gonna get a year's worth of blog posts out of this interview, okay? So
awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. So let's pretend I'm a newbie on LinkedIn. What would be kind of the top 3 to 5 things that you would suggest that I do?
First thing, you have to finish your profile to 100%. It will show you when you sign into LinkedIn what you're at, 20%, 30%, and then it also shows you the steps that you need to take to get to 100%. Number 1. Number 2, brand your LinkedIn URL, and you do that under your profile. It says public profile link. If you look at that public profile link, it probably says linkedin.com/184963. It's like a bunch of numbers. Well, you just click on edit and put your name in there. So then it would be linkedin.com / and then they have IN / Starr Hall. So brand your link. And then the last thing really to get started is build what I call your social proof. And that is build your recommendations. I mean, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see, I think right now I have 150 recommendations. My goal this year is to get it to 500. But I mean, think about your social proof. If people are looking for you online, for me, if they're looking for a speaker and they look at, Susie Q that has 2 recommendations and then Starr Hall that has 150, I mean, who are they most likely to contact? It's a no-brainer.
Well, just the answer always is Starr Hall, right?
Well, yes. But I mean, you knew that, I knew that, but
exactly.
The listeners might not know.
Exactly. So. What's your take on the Open Networker? I mean, that's obviously it's a fee service through LinkedIn.
It is now. I thought, yeah.
I'm assuming you're obviously an Open Networker.
I keep changing between the different levels because I'm testing them. So I think right now I'm at the first level I'm paying for, which is like the $30 a month.
Yep.
And I go back and forth. I do the free account because I need to compare the differences. But I like right where I'm at. I like the level, the N level, the $30 a month. I'm able to send emails. I'm able to get better searches. I can get people's emails. I like the Open Networker, but I haven't found that upgrade necessary for my business building. But I think it's great. The issue with Open Networker that I found is you do get a lot of the around the globe, foreign language people contacting you. It's fine if you can speak the language and you do business in that country, but that's where I find a lot of that comes in.
What about so the other thing too? The one thing that drives me nuts on LinkedIn, which I think anybody with half a brain could figure this one out, is if they're trying to reach out and connect with you, I hate the generic message, want to add you as part of whatever it is, right? And the one thing that I always talk to people is that if you're going to reach out to somebody, like you said, pet them, stroke them, make them feel happy about themselves. Say, hey, found you online. We have very similar backgrounds, or whatever the message is, right, to connect. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when I get people that send stuff through to me. And I always give the example. There's a girl who reached out to me that said she was a social media guru, and I got the generic LinkedIn invitation. I'm like, man, you're just breaking a huge cardinal sin on this thing.
Oh my gosh, that wasn't me though.
No, gosh, no.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I have scripts for that as well that I share on how to make it more personable and wording to use so they don't mark you as spam. Your invite is spam because, as you probably know, once you get 7 spam reports, LinkedIn is suspending your account.
Oh, really?
So also use a certain language that I put in the script that just really simple. If you're not an Open Networker, no worries. Just simply archive or delete my email, but please don't click on the spam button or do not know. I'm not trying to spam you. And I've had my account for going on 6 years now. I've never once been reported.
Yeah.
I used to have 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. However, I took about 30 days at the end of 2011 and wiped out all, but I think I'm at 1,800 again. Because, when I first got into it, I'm like, ooh, I want to be your friend. I want to connect with you. What's this about? And before I knew it, I had 10,000 people. I'm like, who in the heck are you?
Yeah. Quantity versus quality. Yeah.
Exactly. So now I'm back to the quality, and it's been even more powerful for me and then that 1,800 network. So
one of the interesting ones, I'm just trying to find the guy's name here. So on my profile, I use the SlideShare. And then what I do is I've created a video that pokes into SlideShare so that when someone gets to my site, Noah Ricken, who was also in Social Boom, that Jeffrey Gitomer book, he came up with this idea. And I'm sure, everyone in social media steals from everyone else. So I don't know necessarily if it was his idea, but he actually shared it out, which was great. But the fact is people hit my site and I've got my talking advertisement down at the bottom of my page.
That's great.
But it scares a lot of people, right? Because they'll click me at work.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, and then their volume would be up so high, and it's, hi, it's Chris Hamilton here.
What's your take on that, Starr? And criticism is welcome on the idea of the auto start audio on a profile.
I'm all about giving people choice. I personally don't like the auto start audio. I tested it on my site with some things, and by the way, I redo my site every 3 months. So I completely restructure it, redo it, because I'm always testing again, lowering the bounce rate, what's working, what's not. But I just don't like the autoplay function. But there's people that just don't agree with me. They say you got to catch them, and once they start listening, they'll instantly shift and possibly stay. But my take is, you know what? I'd rather give them a choice, but give them a nice button on the screen now, like a pop-up. Would you like to listen to this audio? And this is what it will do for you. But that's the way I would market.
Now, are you talking on the blog site or on the LinkedIn profile?
I'm talking about, well, LinkedIn, you don't have that kind of control with a pop-up. I'm talking on website, do that. LinkedIn, maybe add some copy on it.
Yeah, I agree with you, at least on a website. So the only time that I've actually used it when it's an autoplay is when it's a straight landing page where I'm trying to catch someone's attention immediately. But by no means would I ever try to autoplay on my blog post, because I got 10 posts going at one time. So if someone hits that, it's just white noise, I think, at that point in time. You
know what autoplay or auto video I cannot stand is the people that walk in the screen. Why are they still out there?
We tried to change somebody's opinion about that, but it's difficult to do. It's that gee whiz factor, right?
Well, it's funny because we have a client who's, as Kirsten's talked about, who we tried to get that. Now, it's not only that, this video goes on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little bit long.
And also the stop or the pause button is so hidden you can't do it, right? And we keep trying to explain to them. Guys come, they see this, and they immediately run. They run from you.
Totally.
I call some of these tactics I call me eyes. They're me eyes. Like, you look at me. I'm important. I'm on the website, no walking around. So it's a little bit over the top. It's.
I had a client that had the walk-in with like a British accent, and I said, I will not work with you unless you remove that chick from your site. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she removed this talking British woman, and within 2 months, her bounce rate was dropped. She was getting more traffic, and I mean, it's definitely a case by case, but
So it depends on the audience.
It sounds like to me you're a big fan of tracking, like probably Google Analytics and tracking, testing, and seeing what happens and doing that stuff. There, is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I'm addicted to analyzing what's working and what's not.
Excellent. How would someone, let's say one of the things that we run across, we work a lot with small businesses, kind of medium-sized businesses, but more kind of the entrepreneur, trying to explain to them, you can't change what you're not monitoring, and you can't, you just literally, you can't do that sort of stuff. What would you recommend to people that either have a personal website or even a corporate website? How would they get started? How would they use a tool like Google Analytics? I've got my own answers to that, but I'd like to hear from you what that would be.
How do they use it once it's...
Well, so how would someone go about using or utilizing, say like Google Analytics to kind of change their behaviors, I guess is the best way to look at it.
So I use two tools to assess how my visitors or prospects are responding to my website. I also obviously use Facebook Insights for my fan page. But to me, number one, you cannot fix what you don't know is not working. You're just marketing or shooting in the dark, marketing by default, if you're not analyzing the way people are flowing through your site. So Google Analytics has that awesome visitors flow that I love. It's like that visitor. Have you seen the visitor flow chart? It's showing where people, first of all, where they're coming from, what country, where they enter your site, and the process they're taking and where they drop off. So to me, it's like if I see I'm getting a ton of drop off on the second page, there's a problem, right? Just simple analytics like that. Like right now, my bounce rate is 40%, which is really high. So I'm thinking, what the heck is going on my homepage? I'm going to probably simplify it and pull some of the stuff off because I'm usually at a 20% bounce rate. But you constantly have to analyze the visitor flow. What are they doing? The second part to that is I use Infusionsoft as my email marketing program when I collect, email names throughout my site. And Infusionsoft has behavioral marketing. And what that means is they are constantly analyzing for me the behaviors that my contact list, the behaviors that they're doing, what they're clicking on, what they're not, what they're more interested in. So that helps me to better provide content to them, number one, and of course, put them into a better sales cycle. I mean, because otherwise, let's say I send a link out, how top 5 things you need to know on LinkedIn, but that person wants to know about Twitter. And I keep, focusing on LinkedIn with them. They're going to get annoyed and opt out. I don't want to hear about LinkedIn. I want to hear about Twitter. But if I give them the option, hey, do you want to learn about Twitter today? LinkedIn, Facebook, they click on Twitter. Guess what? They go into the Twitter focus.
That's interesting. So what about, so you just brought up email marketing. Are you a big fan of email marketing?
I'm a big fan of email marketing. I am a huge fan, and they do not pay me to say this. I'm a huge fan of Infusionsoft. Gosh, say that 10 times. I think that, well, for example, my opt-out rate and my conversion rate has been very much a roller coaster over the last 2 years. I can see a huge difference in email marketing as far as how many people are actually reading it. And so I've gone into some mobile marketing that I'm testing, and the conversion rates are higher on mobile marketing. I still feel that it's been very effective for me. I still get sales from my email list, but again, it's all about, what's working, what's not. Email's not working as much or as better or as much as it used to, but the mobile marketing is starting to work really well. So I'm balancing the both.
That's just to make sure, it's Infusionsoft. It's exactly as it's written. Yeah. So I did include that in the on the video so that people could see what the site looked like. And it's not, we're not endorsing it as a paid endorsement. It's just a recommendation.
We're coming to the top of the hour here, so I got to be cognizant of Starr's time and everything as well. So I'll tell you what. Did any questions come in from anybody?
Let me let's take a look.
You take a look.
Keep going,
and I'll ask. So, Starr, one of the questions I typically ask guests there's a couple of ones that I usually ask. So, number one, what is the best piece of advice you could give to anybody who you may be working with? And kind of, I guess that would be more from the standpoint of, I help companies get found through PR or online or whatever it is. What's the best piece of advice that you could offer to somebody apart from contacting you directly and get them to work with you?
Well, okay, so the best piece of advice, we already talked about the PR and building credibility. Really, the next part is being consistent. You can't just jump onto a social media site and what I call test drive it, back the Ferrari out of your garage, drive it around the block and put it back in the garage. You've got to get in that Ferrari, drive into other neighborhoods, and buy the car. You can't just go on for a week and go, oh, it's not working. Well, yeah, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So really committing to it and being consistent. And consistent means, 2 hours each day I'm going to spend on my online marketing. Set a time and be consistent with it and do it ongoing, because I'll start working with people that, maybe some consulting and for 30, 60 days they're consistent. Then they stop, and that's when they start getting the results. And then it's like you don't get it. So consistency.
Absolutely. I'm glad.
And consistency.
I am so glad you brought that up. I always give it I stole this from somebody. It's you plant a tree and you dig it up the next day to see if it grew by the roots, right? And I do have a tough time where a lot of people I talk to, because of the people that we actually work with are small, medium-sized businesses, and it's typically an entrepreneur. We sent a mailer out once and it didn't work, or we did AdWords once and it didn't work, right? And it's like, okay.
Even 2 months later, we want to pull the plug because we don't think social media works.
Yeah, well,
online works.
You went to the gym and did weights once, but you don't look like Schwarzenegger.
Exactly.
Yeah,
interesting, right?
I do have a question that came in here from Bill. My competition has hundreds and hundreds of likes on their Facebook fan page. I have a Facebook fan page, but I can't seem to get enough likes. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, I love this question. Okay. Here's the thing with Facebook fan pages. Everyone's using them wrong for the most part. I'd say 90% of people online are using them wrong. You need to have an engagement tool and a viral sharing on your fan page. So let me break that down in English. An engagement tool. Run a contest. Do a game. Have a poll, a questionnaire, a survey. Something that's going to engage fans and entice them to want to like your page, number one. For example, I just did my contest to find my co-host. So I had 10 people submit videos to want to be my co-host. They were 1-minute videos. I put a contest, ran it for 30 days on my fan page. Those 10 people were marketing the heck out of my fan page because they wanted the votes. So I was having other people market for me. And every time someone voted, this is the viral share, it would post on their wall. I just voted for Starr Hall's new co-host. And that's how it became viral. So you engage them and you have it go viral. That's how you use your fan page and get those likes. Posting's not enough. Not going to do it. People landing on your fan page wall to get a like. Not going to happen. That's not the way it works.
Interesting.
Fantastic.
Leverage the network.
Yep. Well, I think we should probably call it a day. I hope you you found the interview engaging, Starr, because I think you made a comment in the past that sometimes interviews people can talk too much. Hopefully, we didn't talk too much.
Oh, you guys are great. You guys are fun. I could do this for another hour, but I got to get to the office.
We actually, you know what? We'd be more than happy to have you come back on any
Absolutely.
time, and you don't have to have a book. You don't have to have anything. We could just actually have the old, sit down and chat. The fireside talk with Mayor Tommy Shanks, like they used to have on Second City TV. So
well, and a slight plug for Google Plus. The one thing I do like about Google Plus is their Hangout feature, and I'm going to experiment with group Hangouts with several authors, business leaders, in order to get a round table discussion and create a bit of a show out of that. So that's something we might want to do in the future. So I'll be adding you to my Google Plus if you don't mind. I'll be
Love it.
You'll be in one of my circles. Let's just say.
Excellent.
I'd love to do a huddle chat.
Yeah,
whatever
that's kind
it's
of
called
interesting.
there.
Yeah, Chris, you want to wrap it up? With
I am.
Another
I'm holding
plug
the
of
book up one more time.
Yeah.
So there you go. The Social Wave. Holding it
Fantastic.
up. And if people want to find you, Starr, they can go to starhall.com.
Starhall.com.
What's the do you prefer that people, if they were to reach out to you via email, Twitter, Facebook, so on and so forth?
I am all over. They can reach out to me any way they want, but remember the Starr is with 2 R's.
Yes.
Starr Hall.
We have that right.
Exactly.
I don't want to have to re-edit.
Email, website, Twitter, whatever they want to do.
Excellent. Once again, great book. Lots of information in there,
you.
and well worth the read. And absolutely phenomenal information that you shared with us today. We greatly appreciate it, and would look forward to having you back on the show sometime if you would grace us with your presence again.
Yes.
I would love it, guys. I really had a great time. You guys seem like the type of guys I could play categories with.
Absolutely, and we're absolutely introverted, so that's
Yeah. And for those that are watching online, I'm sorry I didn't get to any more questions. There were 2 or 3 others, but you can leave those questions. We're going to forward them to Starr, and on the recorded version, feel free to ask the questions. Those are going to be forwarded on as well. So the question form will remain up there as long as the video's up. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take care.
Starr.
Bye-bye.